My name is Ning Yi Sun. I grew up in China. In college, I majored in Portuguese, and then when I was 19, I went to Brazil. I worked in China after graduation for a bit, but then I'm like, well, I really want to get a master's degree abroad. And then I went to Boston to get the master's degree in international relations. When I just graduated, that was like summer 2019. It was very hard to find a job. And after talking to a lot of people, they're like, if you really want to work for United Nations, especially in HQ, no matter what kind of HQ, it could be a regional HQ in Asia or Africa, you really have to go to the field. So that's why I started to apply for United Nations Volunteer, UNV. And then when this position reached out to me, like, oh, are you interested in going to Central African Republic? My first reaction was like, oh, where is that country? So I looked it up on the map and then made sure that the challenges are more like mental health, more like not constant water and electricity, not really like a stray bullets that would really kill me. So then I was like, okay, I'm gonna take that position. My position was civil affairs officer. I was trying to maintain contact with communities so that we know what's going on in terms of security threats, armed group movements, stuff like that. I remember I went to a strategic town in north of the country. And then I was talking to this community leader, actually religious leader. I just realized everybody would try to keep the same eye level with this leader. So I immediately got that cue of respect. So I immediately lowered my body. And in the middle of that conversation, a little boy came up to him. I don't know what they were talking about, but the little boy was upset. And then that leader just put his hand on the top of the little boy's head. And then he stopped crying and he started to become calm. That was a very sweet, interesting moment. Because like, I'm not very religious. So I see how, wow, that's what a religion could soothe. Well, maybe it's not really about that even. It's really about a community. And then when you have a community leader, you come to this leader and you feel like, okay, I have this community to fall my back on. So that's something that I feel like in our modern culture, we forget so much, right? We're always on ourselves. That's cool, that's individualistic, but we're also very lonely. We feel ashamed to reach for help. So that moment was it was a beautiful moment for me. By being in Bangui, I had the direct access to different communities. And then I started to think about making a short film. I didn't have any background in filmmaking. So actually it was a friend who approached me, like, do you want to make a film? I was like, okay, let's make a short. I don't know anything about it. We started to film a Chinese construction worker and then a local sand diver. Sand diver, they just dive deep into the bottom of the Ubangi River and carve out sand with their hands. And all that sand is used to build whatever buildings in Bangui. And then the Chinese, with also Lebanese or maybe Central African as well, they purchase the sand as construction companies. So they're kind of from the opposite ends of the sand supply chain. And then when we were shooting these two guys, we also started to film their families. And then the Chinese guy's like, oh, my wife actually back in China, she was trying to hurt herself. She was cutting herself, so I'm gonna have her here so that I can take better care of her.
那哥在什么地方？印尼是吧？
不是，这都是非洲，中华共和国，我也不知道。哎呀，我不明这个的。
这给我干活，陈主任给打电话也不接。
我忙着的，你说我这套字了，这些事谁给我办？我早晨赶紧忙完了，还得出去，怎么下班呗？
就是呢。
So you really see sacrifice of a mobile life. And I have a mobile life too. And my sacrifice is also obvious in the sense of, loss of this community support, loss of this close touch with my family. So I definitely felt him. Making that film made me busier, for sure. But it also made it hard in the sense that, wow, that's probably the time when I really started to engage with locals to do something together. With UN work, it's like you hold a dialogue with them, you make a soap with them, but that's not deep enough. Making a film, you really have to trust your team.
Alors, qu'est-ce que tu dis du tournage? T'as aimé, non?
Tournage, je m'en fous. Ça, c'est trop bon. Miam, miam, miam. I definitely think I chose UN in the sense that I made a lot of conscious efforts to get in UN, but I never chose to do filmmaking or act. Because consciously, I would say, because coming from my background, a Chinese family that has no connection with acting, with filmmaking, you would never hear anybody to encourage me to do that. So I think in some sense, I made a lot of efforts to understand how I could get into international organizations. That's why I went to Central African Republic, supposedly the field work. And then it's really there that someone asked me, why don't you make a film? In that sense, acting and filmmaking also, chose me. That's such a cliche to say, but then why did I get an opportunity to New York? That's really rare. Like when I really got that position, people were like, that's not true. Nobody just gets to go to New York after only this short period of time. I did my own first short film, finished it recently. We shot in June. I got a better idea about documentary filmmaking, but I still knew so little about fiction film, and it's so different. So I was like, okay, the fastest way for me to learn about fiction filmmaking is I make a short film myself.
Quiet on set.
So I wrote a short film based on my breakup experience. That's my own story, so I also acted in it. Moscow Mule, please.
Make it 2, please. You got it.
Acting, filmmaking takes much more energy, much more emotional strength, because it's actually personal work. But then you cannot take it that personally because you have to think about the project, the film itself. I would say my life experience definitely has a very profound impact in acting. So living in different countries, speaking different languages, make me connected with others very easily. So if I can feel the connection with a character easily, I can interpret that role in acting much more easily.
What are your goals with your acting?
Get an Oscar? I'm co-writing a screenplay about a Chinese immigrant sex worker. My dream would really be to act in that feature if one day it becomes one. And I joke with my friend, like if I could do that, I could just die after it. So that's how meaningful that role would be to me. If one day I could sustain myself financially, I would definitely be a full-time filmmaker and actor.